All right, welcome everybody. This is Advanced Reporting Tips and Tricks for New Admins. My name is Aaron Creer. I'm founder at Hat Trick Consulting, and I work with companies around the world to help them achieve their Salesforce goals. Anybody seen this one before? Everything I'm going to show you is already available, so you don't have to worry about this one, but always keep buying decisions based on what's currently available in the market. And thank you for coming, right? There's 1,500 sessions this week. You can't get to all of them, so I do really appreciate you taking the time to come see mine, and hopefully this helps you out. A little background about me. I'm a recovering sales manager. Proud to say I haven't made a cold call or begged somebody for a purchase order in almost 10 years, and I've never felt better. I started using Salesforce as an inside sales rep in 2009 and became a manager with a team under me, and started teaching myself how to do more with it just to make my job easier. Became that kind of accidental admin at a bunch of companies I worked for. And then about 10 years ago, I was kind of tired of having a quota hanging over my head because they never go down, and wanted to do something technical and loved working with the platform. Just happened to coincide around when Trailhead was out, so quit my job on Memorial Day, got my admin cert, started my business out of the gate by Labor Day. I speak at a ton of these events around the world, because I feel really lucky I could make that career pivot, so hopefully I can help some of you advance your careers as well. I have 10 certs. I am the co-organizer of Northeast Streamin', which is a community event in New Hampshire next month. I run the Lowell admin group. I have a blog called Dreamforce that's all about Salesforce reports and dashboards, and I have some giant stickers if anybody wants some afterwards. And I'm based in New Hampshire. All right, so what you're gonna see in this presentation, they're all really, really simple features and functions once you know they exist. But there was certainly a time in my career where I didn't know any of these existed. Almost all of them I came across by posts, people much smarter than me on the Trailblazer community. But they're gonna make you more efficient, they're gonna save you a bunch of time, and they're gonna let you provide more value to your stakeholders. So the topics we're gonna cover here are cross filters, power of one and unique values, custom summary and row-level formulas, buckets, joined reports, and custom report types. We'll have kind of an overview of the topic. I'll have a couple of use cases, then I'm gonna live demo all of this stuff. I do have a QR code at the end of this to the entire presentation, including recordings of all the demos. So you have everything you're gonna see here to take home with you. All right, cross filters. They allow you to filter reports by objects instead of just fields. And the object filters are dependent on the parent object of the report type. So we're gonna have 3 examples here. Marketing manager wants to identify accounts without contacts to get more people into their funnel. Sales director wants to review accounts with opportunities, but only focusing on new customers by industry. And then as a sales rep, all contacts part of opportunities must have activities. That's kind of our SLA as far as our sales process, okay? So we got 3 different use cases here. We'll jump into our demo. All right, so first one is accounts without contacts. Now, the first time somebody asked me for this, I had never heard of a cross filter. The only way I could figure out how to do this was to export the entire database of accounts and contacts, do a bunch of formulas in Excel, try and count how many rows we had. It was a mess. And then sometime after that, I read a post about cross filters, and I can do the same thing in 5 seconds. So we're gonna look at our report, and we're gonna edit this. And we're gonna click the filters tab, and all we're gonna do is add a cross filter. And all cross filter is a with or without statement. That's all really it is. And when I click this, I only have accounts as my option. That's based on the report type. So if you look up there on the left, that's just an accounts report. And I'm gonna say without, and then I'm just gonna select contacts. And now when we run that, we know who we need to add some folks to be able to market to them, right? Really simple use case. So the next one is we want to be able to look at opportunities by industry, but we only care about new customers. So we'll look at our second one here. We're going to edit this. And we'll look at here, we already have a cross filter, so we're looking at accounts with opportunities. Now, make sure you're clear when you use cross filters. When I say accounts with opportunities, accounts without opportunities do not show up in this report. So just make sure you or your users understand that when you use them, okay? Now, we only care about new customers. So I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna use the cross filter. I'm gonna use the type field from opportunities, and I'm gonna set that to new business. And that one updates my report. And the really cool part about that is if you look up in the top left again, this is just an accounts report. This is not an opportunities report. If I open up the outline over here, there are no opportunity fields. But we're able to access and use the fields from that object through our cross filter. So it keeps your reporting structure really, really simple and clean. All right. Last example is we want to be able to make sure that all contacts that are part of opportunities have activities with them. So we'll open this. So my second job out of college, when I first started using Salesforce, my boss wanted to have a call at 4:30 every Friday. I don't know about you, 4:30 on Friday, I want to log out, crack a beer, start my weekend. I don't want to rehash what I did all week, or more importantly, what I forgot to do all week. So after a couple of weeks of that, I'm like, this is for the birds. I gotta do something to get this guy the info he needs, start my weekend earlier. So I started creating reports for myself to make sure I didn't forget to do things, and this is one of the ones I created. So we're gonna edit this. And we're gonna see here we have a cross filter, contacts without activities. We're gonna add our cross filter, and we're gonna say with opportunities. And we're gonna add that in there. Now I know this is my list. I need to chase these people before that call on Friday, make sure I cover all my bases. All right. We'll move on to the next topic. So next topic is power of one and unique count. Unique count was derived likely from the power of one usage, right? I'm gonna show you how to use both. Gives you a real quick visibility in reports. Power of one is a custom formula field. I recommend you do it on every object. I think it makes the most sense to name the field the same as the object, and I'll give you an embarrassing reason why in a minute. And it's useful in roll-ups and additional formulas, and I'm gonna show you how to use this in the topics we cover after this, okay? So sales director wants a report that shows pipeline summary by stage that breaks down the number of ops, accounts, and products. So let's get out of here. And we'll look at our opportunity pipeline composition. I'm going to see here we have a funnel chart by stage, and then when we scroll down, we have a bunch of columns, sum of opportunities, accounts, opportunity products, sum of products. These are all using the power of one. Now, this is a report you're going to use to judge how healthy or diversified is our pipeline. Is too much of it heavily weighted with one or two customers, where if we don't get that win or we lose the relationship, we're going to take a massive hit? Or maybe on the product level, is it too heavily skewed towards a product that we just found out is going to be delayed in delivery for 3 months, right? That can crush a quarter for the company. So how healthy is our pipeline? Okay. Now we can also see over here we have record count. I never, ever, ever use record count in a multi-object report because I think it's really confusing what it's actually counting. It's counting rows. It's not counting any of these individual objects. So I typically don't use that unless it's a single object report, okay? So let's take a look how we created this. And I found out about the power of one from a blog post from Steve Mo, MVP from Boston, really smart, really funny guy. He credits a former Salesforce employee named Tom Tobin with teaching it to him at a Dreamforce in the past. So we're gonna take a look in setup, and we're gonna go to the object manager, and we're gonna just look at the account, and we're gonna look at fields. We have one called accounts, and I'm gonna edit this, and we're gonna scroll down. It's a formula, return type is number, 0 decimals, and the really, really complex part is the formula itself, which is right there. In that big white box is the number 1, that is the entire formula. Now it basically allows it to count itself in reports, okay? So when I read Steve's blog post, I'm like, this is awesome. I have a bunch of use cases for this. And I told you to name it the same as the object. Well, when I read his post and I put it on a bunch of objects in one of my orgs, and then I came back and looked at my report here, I had 5 columns all titled the power of one, and I had no idea which one went to which object, right? So I think if you name it the same as the object, it's really obvious what it's counting, okay? So it's basically allowing it to count itself. Now, if we edit this, we're gonna look at the unique count, which is different. That's not a formula, it's just a reporting feature we have here. I'm gonna turn on my detail rows, and I'm gonna click this, and I'm gonna say, show unique count. And then I'm gonna collapse this, and we're gonna run it. And now we can see here, we have our unique count of account name, and it matches the sum of accounts. They do the same thing. If you just need to get that number in a report, use unique count. But we're gonna see other ways we use the power of one as we move on. go to our next topic. Custom summary and row level formulas. Custom summary formulas allow you to calculate additional totals in summary matrix join reports. They have to be based on numeric fields which can be summarized. They're unique to the report, so anytime you're creating formulas in the report, just think about how often you're going to do that, because they're just going to live there. Sometimes you might actually need to create formulas on the objects themselves, but if it's just for reporting purposes, try these first. And then row level formulas, they allow calculations on every row. There's a limit to 1 per report. You have flexibility outside of numeric fields, so that think about more like creating an actual formula where you have text, you have other options than the numeric for the custom summary. So we're gonna have 2 examples of each. So marketing department wants to know what percentage of leads created were converted, right? Typical metric every company uses, lead conversion rate. You wanna give a sales team a visual representation of where sales are compared to goal. An exec wants to know how long is our sales process, right? From op open to op close, how long is that taking? And then a territory manager wants to plan for restructuring their territory. So how many of our ops are owned by somebody other than the account owner? So 2 examples of summary formulas, 2 examples of row level. All right, so for our lead conversion, I'm gonna show you two ways. So this first one is out of the box. It is not using a custom summary formula. So we just look at this, and if I hover over our donut chart, we can see here, I can see the percentage in that little blue box. This is just using a grouping of is converted. Like it's a system formula fields, right? Nothing fancy. But it doesn't give us a ton of flexibility as what we can display, right? We can't see that percentage in a column. So maybe we want to do something a little more fancy here. So let's take a look at another way to do it. We're gonna use this. Now we're gonna see we have vertical bar, what we've, number of leads for the month, and then the horizontal line is our percentage for the month conversion. And we can see here in the column, we have our conversion rate. And if you look here, the little prefix is FX. That's telling us it's a formula. So how do we do that? We're gonna edit this. And then we're gonna look at our conversion rate, which is a custom summary formula. We're gonna click on it. We've named it conversion rate. Output type is %, decimals is 2. And then our formula is converted sum divided by lead.lead sum. Right? And that looks a little weird, right? Lead.lead sum. That's using the power of 1 from the leads object, okay? Now, if I replace that with record count, because this is a single object report, it does the same thing. I just want you to understand how you could potentially use the power of 1 in some of your other formulas and other reporting types, okay? So we'll hop out of this. And then we're gonna look for our sales to goal. So the first time I built this report, I was visiting one of my customers, and I'm walking by the sales director's desk, and she's got her head down like this. She's got pen and paper. She's got a spreadsheet, a calculator. She's swearing. I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, we have a new mandate. I have to be able to tell where we are compared to goal in real time. Their goals did not live in Salesforce. They didn't use quotas. They had no custom objects. They were not in there at all. So I started asking her some questions, and they had a really simple goal structure. It was flat. Every single month, they had one number to hit company-wide. That's all she had to report on. I said, we can do that in one report, and this is what I created. So if we scroll down, we have the bar is showing what was sold that month. The line is what their goal is. And if we look at this, we have 4 separate custom summary formulas: monthly goal, percentage to monthly goal, annual, and percentage to annual. So when we open this, we'll look at how we built these. We'll click into this, and then in here, our formula is ABS 500K. All that really means like absolute value. Whatever number I put in those parentheses, that's what it's gonna return. I've selected currency, 2 decimal points. The important part here is where do we display this? And we've said selected groups, which is close date, meaning we're gonna return 500K for each grouping, which is grouped by month, because we wanna see that in every single row, okay? That's our goal. Now, if we look at percentage to monthly goal, we have amount sum, so closed one for the month, divided by that 500K. Again, we're grouping it at the close date level. This is a percent with 2 decimals. Our annual are very similar. Currency, ABS 6 million, so 500K times 12. But the important part here is, where do we display that? We've said grand total only because we just want it on the bottom row. We don't want it returned on every single grouping, right? They have a $6 million goal. We don't want to see that for every month, just at the total. And then for percentage to annual goal, amount sum divided by 600K. So that's 6 million rather. And again, we're displaying that at the grand total only. Okay, so those are our two examples of custom summary formulas. Now we're going to look at row level. So if we look at ops days to close, how many people have a formula field on your opportunity right now that does this? Okay. How often does somebody ever look at that on a record? 0, right? They want to see it in a report, a trend, maybe average by sales rep or a product line, business unit, right? If you only need to consume those things through reporting, don't create formula fields on the objects. Just create it here like I'm going to show you. Okay, clean up some of those objects, get rid of some of those fields. So we can see here, days to close, we have our little FX. And if we edit this, we're going to look here and we see our days to close. And if you were going to add a row level formula, you would click it here. Again, there's a limit of 1 per report. That's why it's grayed out. And we'll click into it. We'll edit. Output is number, no decimal points, and the formula is close date minus date value of created date. Why do we have to wrap that? Somebody named this create date, but it's really a date time. Why they do this stuff, I have no idea. It drives me nuts, but all we care about is sucking out the date portion of that value. So that's why we wrap it in that date value function. It's getting rid of the time piece of it. That allows us to calculate the number of days. And our last one, we're looking for ops with different owner than the account. And if we see here, we look at the third column, we have same owner. And then if we look in the column, everything says no, right? That's kind of weird. We probably want to see some, you would expect some yeses in there. Let's take a look at how we did that. So we'll click into our formula. So just a simple if statement. Again, custom summary formulas have to be based on numeric fields. These do not. Row levels are more flexible. So simple if statement. If account owner equals full name, and again, why they do this, I don't know, but full name in this case is opportunity owner. Return yes, if not, return no. So we're just displaying a text value based on whether they match or not. Now, we saw that every single one said no, which is kind of odd. So if we look at our filter, we can actually use that as a filter in our report. So I filtered it to just show the ones that don't match. So you can create the formula, you can then use the formula as a filter in your report. All right, buckets. They allow you to categorize a group of values. You can use a custom name for each bucket. Doesn't require formulas or custom fields. And I kind of think of it as how you have to take a opportunity stage and put it into a forecast category. So maybe your early stages are in best case, your later ones are in commit. Kind of the same idea. We're taking a bunch of values and trying to put, stack them together in one combined value. So our use case. You're tasked with creating a sales by region report. Opportunities from accounts in the US and Canada should be combined into NA, and all the countries in Europe should be combined into Europe. So look at our sales by region report. And we'll see here, we have a donut chart. We can see down here in the region, it has a little bucket icon that's telling us we've created a bucket there. And then we have Europe, NA, and we have other. So let's look at this. We have it grouped by region, which is our bucket. When we bucket something, we're picking a specific field. So in this case, I've used billing country, and then I've just called it region. They don't have to match, obviously. You can call them whatever you want. And then we can see here we have blue bucket for NA, purple for Europe. But we look over here, we have France is in the purple bucket, USA is in the NA, but we have US and we have United States here. So we got a problem. Obviously, we didn't turn on state and country pick lists. It was a whole other issue. So But we want to clean this up. So why don't I take these two, and I'm going to move them to the NA bucket. And now when I go back, we have China hanging out by itself. Maybe we want to add another bucket for Asia. We've added it, but now I need to go back, and I need to move China to that bucket. And I can hit apply and run. And now we have our new bucket. So it lets you take combined values and put them into one kind of slice of the pie or bar or whatever you want. And you can have more than one in a report. All right. Next is joined reports. They allow you to view different types of information within a single report. You can create up to 5 blocks, and they can be cross-object. So our use cases here, a sales director would like one report that shows sales for month, year to date, and last 12 months, all in one report. So we'll look at our report. Now this is really like personal preference. If it was me, I would not want this. I would want a dashboard that either had them in 3 different charts or even a filter on a dashboard where I can slice and dice it any way I want. But we all know we have some users that just have to have it this way. This is what I like. I want it this way. I'm used to this, right? Okay, fine, we'll build it for you. So we have 3 blocks here, and they're all different time periods, but they're all showing the same kind of thing. They're all showing closed one for a time period. So let's edit this. The first thing you're gonna have to do when you create a new report, you're gonna by default land in this. So if you need to switch it to a joins, you gotta hit this little toggle right here and move it to a joined report, okay? Now, we can add another block. So let's just say we wanna do opportunities last 2 years. When you add the new block, it always goes to the far right. So I'm gonna have to scroll over there. People click that button and then don't think it's there, and they click it again, now you get extra blocks. So it always goes to the far right. So if we go over here, we can see it. I'm gonna rename it. Just if I can get this to work. We'll just call it last 2 years. Whoa. Come on. Okay, so I've renamed it. Now if I scroll down, I can see it. But let's just say I want to match all the columns, just like the other blocks. I'm just going to remove them all, and then I'm going to add them back real quick. So I'll select close date. I'll select amount. I'll select op name. Okay, if we scroll over, now they match. I'm done, correct? No. Because we also, just like we can select different fields or columns for each section, we have our own unique filters for each section. So I have to update my filters down here. So I'm gonna say closed one only. And then I'm gonna select here, where is it? Current and previous fiscal, we'll call that last 2 years. So now I've updated my filters, and we're good. Now, one thing I do like about join reports is I can add another block here, and it can be something completely different. So maybe I just want to do leads. I can add that leads block, and if I scroll over, I can obviously rename that. We can see here it's a different color. That's telling me it's a different object. I can adjust the filters. I can also come in here and I can adjust the columns. So one use case, maybe you want to see a report where you have ops created, leads created, cases created all in one report, like completely different objects. That's a good use case. Again, I would probably do things in a dashboard, but it is a good use case for things like that when you want to go cross-object. All right. Last topic, custom report types. They allow you to create more complex reports not provided by standard reports. They can have up to 4 objects, and there are ways around that I can show you. Primary and secondary must be related. Choose whether the secondary may or may not have an associated record, and then you can select which fields from the object are available in the report type. So a marketing manager would like to see what activity volume campaigns are driving with visibility to the contact, right? So we can look at a campaign and we can easily see contacts. We can look at contacts and easily see activities. But a clear line of sight from campaign to contact to activity isn't available with standard reports. So we're going to use a custom report type for this. Where are we? All right, we'll do this. All right, so we're going to look at this report. We have campaign name on the left, we have full name, we have subject, and we have activities. So this is a report I would create for sales reps as like a follow-up call list, right? So next week, we're all going to get chased by all those people at the booth. When they call you, be nice to them. They're just doing their job, okay? But I would create this, give it to the reps so they know who they're going to call next week. We did this with a custom report type. So we're going to go to Setup. And over here on the left, we're going to hit Report, select Report Types. And then we have our report type here. Okay, I'm going to hide this. And we're going to edit this just so we can see it. So campaigns is our primary object. Then we've selected contacts as a secondary. We've said each A record must have at least one B record. Okay, but then we've said each B record may or may not have a C record. So campaigns have to have contacts. Contacts may or may not have activities, okay? Now, make sure that you name these appropriately because it can be really confusing to people if they don't understand it. So I always name it something like this: campaigns with contacts, with or without activities, okay? Because what this is gonna do is if I have a campaign that just has leads on it and I use this report type, it doesn't show up. Okay, there has to be at least one contact on that campaign or it will not show up in a report using this report type as its basis. So make sure you're really clear when you label these and make sure your users understand it because they're filtering things in or out automatically before they even start building a report. Make sure they understand that, okay? Now, cross filters does similar thing, right? We can say this record with or without this record, right? They kind of do the same thing. It's up to you whether you want to build this and you're kind of pre-doing that work for them, or do you trust them enough to let them use something like a cross filter? It's going to depend on your users, how advanced they are. There's pros and cons to both, but just make sure that people, especially using custom report types, understand what's going to be in there because they're going to run this report and they're going to say, hey, this new campaign that we just, the list we bought last week isn't in here. That's because it's all leads. It's not going to show up. Okay. Now, if we cancel this, one of the other cool things you can do with custom report types, we can edit our layout here, and we can see here everything's in sections by object. We can create additional sections if we want to. I can just hit this button. If I wanted to take maybe like all address fields or something and put them down the bottom in a different section, you can do that. One of the cool things I like is if I look at our activities, we can use this, and you can see here, anything that's grayed is in the report. I can drag this and put it wherever I want if it wasn't in there. But the cool thing I like is you can grab fields from other objects that aren't even in this report, going through the lookup here. So let me just do this again so you can see it. You select what object you want. I'm going to use activities, and I'm going to hit add fields via lookup. And I'm going to say the assigned to, essentially the rep, who's in charge of that activity. And I can click on that, and now I can get things like their role. So you can use that, and you can traverse all the way up. So it lets you grab things from different places. Evan Ponter, who has a blog with me, he has a great series on this called the Deluxe Report Type, where instead of, I started with campaigns at the top, and then I added contacts and then activities. If you start from the bottom, now you can use those lookups and kind of weave your way any way you want. I'm building a report for a customer right now where they want to report on account hierarchy. So I have a single object custom report type using account, and then I go through the parent account, bring that into a section, the next parent account, bring that into the grandparent section, and go up the hierarchy that way. So they can create one report, and they can look at it and say, okay, this account is a great-grandchild, great-grandchild, so when they're doing their account assignments, they know they want to assign that entire hierarchy to the same rep versus giving them one-offs only to find out somebody else owns the parent or the child or whatever it is. So it's a really good use case. If we go back here, now I have a whole list of people here. I can see that Jake I've already called, so maybe I want to filter this so I only see the people I have to chase. So I could take this and I could say activities is less than 1. And I can apply, and now that's gone. And that activities column, that's the power of 1 on the activities object. So we're now using that again. So again, if I'm looking at this list, I don't have to see people that I've already reached out to. All right, a couple of resources for you. Reportforce, that's my blog with Evan Ponter. Dashboard Dojo, that's run by an MVP from Boston named David Carnes. Super smart guy, literally wrote a book on Salesforce reports and dashboards. It's free online dashboard training. I think he does it every other month. And if you're more into whatever they're calling CRM analytics this week, Salesforce Blogger is a good one for you. Give you a second there. Again, thank you for coming. I hope you learned something here. Here's the QR code. The entire presentation included recordings of all the demos for you.